Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Profit Toolbelt Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking to Brian Boase. Brian is with Mill Spec Landscaping out of Clarksville, Tennessee. And he served in Afghanistan. He's an Army vet, retired, of course. This guy does everything. He's a jobber expert. He's got a solid family. He's running the business he loves. I originally ran across him because he's an expert with Jobber, but what I've come to find in our pre-interviews is that he's really a systems-based guy, very logical, very, like I said, systems-based. And I think you're really going to enjoy today's episode. So let's get to it. He started out mowing lawns, and now he's doing something different. So if you're in that kind of industry, that service industry, or that industry with a lot of equipment, I think you're going to like what you hear from Brian Boase. So let's get to it. Mr. Brian Boase, how are you doing?
I am good, sir. How are you?
I'm good. You've got the beard of wisdom going there.
I don't know about wisdom. Maybe just like crawled out of a cave.
After deep contemplation.
Yes, deep contemplation, meditation in the cave.
Yeah, for a long time. A long time.
Yes, for a long time.
Yeah. The good news is our beard is mostly the same color, which is neither black nor white, neither dark nor light. It's just in there.
It's peppery.
Peppery. I like that. I call myself the old silverback now.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far yet. I don't know. My wife just told me my chest hair is white, so that's something else.
There we go. Sign of advancing age and wisdom.
Hopefully.
So we're going to get into the topic today, but you're a military vet, Army, and
Yes.
you started a family business.
Yes.
But that's all people might know about you because that was the title. But let me ask this question. Brian Boase, who the heck are you? And how is it you come to be speaking to all these contractors all around the world?
Wow. That could be a really long.
Hey,
How about
it could be an entire podcast.
It could, but I'm going to shorten it. So I spent over 20 years in the military, in the Army, as an enlisted guy, and then as a warrant officer, and fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. Been all around the world. Somehow survived all of that. Jumped out of airplanes. Somehow survived all of that nonsense, and made it to retirement. And when I retired. It was my honor. Hey, listen, I'm not one of the, I raised my hand and I got paid to do this. Right. So that's how I got, you're going to pay me to get up in the morning and exercise?
Yeah,
really?
True.
I don't have to figure out what I need to wear. This is great.
Oh, green today? Sure. Brown? Okay.
Yeah. This is easy. I was like, wait a second. So really the rules are, I just have to be at the right place at the right time in the right uniform. That's it. I mean, until you become.
I know you're making light of it, but yeah.
Until you become a leader, and then some things change. But so after I retired, I looked at hey, I really don't want to lead anybody else. I kind of just want to figure out something that I really like to do.
Yeah.
And I can make money doing. And I was like, well, I like being outside. I like mowing.
Yeah.
And I like listening to music. I was like, I wonder if I could just listen to music and go mow and somehow make a little family business of it. All right. So a few years later, here we are, no longer mowing.
No, you're a bit beyond mowing.
We've got a bunch of Caterpillar excavator, skid, a Caterpillar UTV,
yeah,
and our own little farm, and we're just doing landscaping and drainage work, and so yeah, it's been a wild ride.
It's crazy. And did you do any of this? Did your Army training lend itself to this type of landscape construction, or did you sort of pick it up as you went? Because you're not mowing, as far as I understand, anymore.
Yeah, no, we sort of just picked it up, and no, it's had nothing to do with the Army, other than pulling weeds out of the cracks and moving rocks around, when you're a private. But I think There are some like attributes, kind of, like a self-motivation and intestinal fortitude and discipline and things that you pull from the Army in
Yeah.
order to kind of get this started. But other than that, no, like actual uh, landscaping, anything. We just sort of ventured into it. It started off with simple things, like replacing mulch and
Mm,
trimming trees, and then we met a Robert who lives. We have a nursery here on our farm, but he has a larger nursery just a few miles down the road, and we met
right.
him, and then essentially what we did is we just went over there and volunteered our time. He's got a master's degree in horticulture, and he's been doing it for 30 years. And
Okay. Okay. So
uh,
he took a much more
so
direct approach.
yeah, so and I'm big on mentorship, right? That's one thing that you do take from the Army
Hmm.
is mentorship. I believe, everybody, like, go get yourself a mentor, right? Be humble and get yourself a mentor.
Yeah. The humble part is hard. The humble
Uh,
part can be hard because you've got to admit you don't. And I'm speaking for myself because I have coaches, or that's another word for mentor for me.
yeah,
Uh, and I find it difficult at times to admit I don't know something, but it's usually not that I don't know it. I just don't have things in the right order in my head, and I'm chasing number three on the list instead of number one.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like what's the old saying? Like, don't step over $100 bills to chase the $1 bill, right?
Right.
So same kind of concept, I suppose. But uh, yeah, I mean, look, you don't know what you don't know, and it's okay. This is how I look at it, right? Especially in the landscaping realm,
Mm.
there's no way one single person can know the thousands of species of trees and subspecies and
Every
and
bug
and
that
all.
affects them in every different
Yeah,
season.
yeah, no, you can't. You don't, like, so this, to me, the second that you say that you're an expert, I think, is the second that you failed.
Oh,
So that's how I keep myself humble,
right.
is go, hey, I'm we're pretty good at it, but I'm not going to say that I'm an expert, because I think you have to dedicate yourself. I don't care what industry you're in, right? Like, if you own a business, you have to dedicate yourself to being a lifelong learner.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. I think what I've found is that when I stop learning, the business stops growing. It
Yeah,
slides backwards.
absolutely. Yeah,
It's not even growing. It just slides backwards.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, so when you look at, like, the new stuff Proven Winners is coming out with every year, or different plants and things like that, or oddities, right? I mean, there's a reason why we get hired to do certain jobs, and why, like, a lot of the landscaping that we put in isn't just a bunch of boxwoods and nandinas, right?
Right.
Like, because people in they want different, right? They don't want to look like
Yeah, they want to
their
try and grow a
neighbor's
monkey
house.
tree or something crazy. I don't know what's crazy
Yeah,
in Tennessee, but
yeah.
something crazy, right?
Well, in Tennessee, we're in what's considered the USDA transitional zone, which
Mm.
is like fancy talk for ain't nothing good grow here.
Transitional. So you can't grow palm trees and you can't grow pines.
Yeah, so you'll see, like, some yards will have fescue, some yards will have Bermuda,
Oh,
and then we just had this really weird, like, winter storm that came through, and it got down. It was at one point, it was like, felt like -22. So a bunch of the laurels, English laurels, that have been fine and have been here for just years, I'm
yeah.
talking like decade, 2 decades.
Yeah.
That one storm wiped them out.
Really?
Yeah,
I
almost
can't kill the
all of them.
laurel in my yard just for trying. That thing it's gonna outlive us all.
Yeah, they tend to be pretty hardy. That's why everyone has them. But
Yeah.
man, they're toast. But we'll see if they come back.
Yeah. I was in Arizona last weekend. My son was at a lacrosse tournament. And it's just I live in the Pacific Northwest. It's basically always drizzling here. It's like the shower's
Yeah,
always on just a little bit. It
yeah,
makes for the city's beautiful. It's always beautiful here. But going to Arizona is so different because they landscape with rock, different colors and shapes and
yep,
sizes of rock. And then
yeah.
there's a couple of bushes they're trying to get by. We don't know if they're going to make it or not. A couple of cactuses. Those look kind of cool. But I'm like, wow, this is such a different landscaping world,
Yeah, Yeah,
Even
it's
methods of
totally.
construction, right?
Oh
Everything.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, gosh, you go one county over and the code is different, right? Even the guys up in Canada, and I'm like, wow, you guys are using that. That's so much smarter than what we're doing here.
Things are different. So how did you, I mean,
Yeah,
your last day in the army, did you know you were going to have your own company?
yeah. So what I did, I spent the basically the last year, because I knew I was retiring, and I wanted to make sure that it, I had finished my degrees,
Mm.
went out and got a green belt in Lean Six Sigma, because I was
What?
interested
Hold
in,
on a second. What? You just threw
yeah.
that casually into the conversation?
Well, I enjoy efficiency, right? So, and I enjoy, so it was interesting to me
Yeah.
um, to go through that and really take on a project and make it more efficient, if you will, and
I like how
streamline
you
it.
just tried to blow past that. Like, I got my bicycle riding license, my Lean Six Sigma. For
uh,
people that don't know Lean Six Sigma, can you just give me your 2-second definition on it? And then if you don't mind, how it applies to the big world of construction.
yeah, sure. I think that it's just all about looking at um, efficiency and waste, right? And getting that. That's it. That's my 2 second
Yeah.
definition on it. It
It's
really, that's
just,
what it is.
yeah.
It's how do you reduce waste, right? And uh and streamline things. And so that's where we do, like, so we don't, I nothing is paper for us. I have zero paper,
Mm.
right? There are no paper contracts, there's no paper anything. So everything's digital, everything's in the cloud, everything's streamlined. And then when you look at waste, like, how does it apply? Okay. Uh any time spent in your vehicle is waste.
Unless you're listening to the podcast called Profit Tool Belt by Dominic Rubino.
Yes, that's
I
right.
had to do it. I
Yeah,
had to.
that's
I
right.
did it. Didn't I
That's
just
right.
do that?
That's a
I
good
did it.
plug.
That's
Yeah, that
so
was good.
cheesy, but I did it.
You literally plugged yourself in your own podcast. I see.
But you do,
But
but
yeah,
the opportunity is there to turn your car into a university because you can download Audible, get audiobooks, any other, there's a million podcasts, but you can turn
yeah.
that
Oh
time
yeah,
into
sure.
something usable. You're right though. Windshield time we don't get paid for.
Right. Well, I do the same thing in the machine. I just put in my air. I mean, sometimes, instead of listening to music, I'll listen to a podcast. I'll see what's going on, like what. So I'm always interested to see what other people are doing. And then, there's some things where it's like, oh, look, none of us are out here trying to reinvent the wheel, right? The wheel's created,
Uh,
so,
some of us are trying to reinvent the wheel, and I would
oh,
encourage,
yeah.
right? But it sounds like you and I agree on this. Let's not reinvent the wheel. We can negotiate the color. We can negotiate the size, but the
Yes,
shape has been defined. Just use it.
yes, yes. That's my point exactly, right? It's like the wheel's invented. We don't need to reinvent it, right? But we can always take things and make it better, right? Like you said,
Yeah,
the color, the size, chrome, not chrome, black, whatever, right? Um,
but use what
and
works.
yeah, sure. I think it's the same thing as parenting, the same thing as leadership. You call it whatever you want, right? You go, okay, I wish my parents would have taught me this, so they did a good job here, so I'm going to take that, and add that to my parenting bag.
Yeah.
And but they didn't teach me about interest rates and why they're important, or how to finance a car or change a tire. So I'm going to teach my daughters that. Same thing, right?
Yeah.
That's just leadership. I don't care what you call it, parenting, you call it whatever, right? That's just leadership.
Yeah. Now, you and I actually met because you're a jobber expert, and that's not the subject of today. But that this paperless thing's interesting. You do landscaping. How much paper could you generate? I'm going to come and put in underwater sprinkler systems. I'm going to bill
Yeah,
you for it. That's all done. Everything's electronic for you.
yeah, everything's electronic. So what we like to do is, uh, or where we kind of differ a little bit is, I have a little background in photography and Photoshop and things like that, Adobe products. Um, so what I do is I will take a picture of your house, essentially.
Mhm.
Let me rephrase that. I will take a picture of whatever Christy tells me to take a picture of.
Christy being the
Of
real boss.
yeah, Christy being the real boss because she is really the artist of it all, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm just kind of the clown that drives the machines and dig hole here, take me here, take this picture, and then I throw it into Photoshop. And then what I'll do is I remove all the landscaping that's there, the current landscaping in Photoshop.
Right.
So it's basically a blank slate. And then I give it to Christy. We put it into a program, and and she designs it so that people can see what the end state of the mature plants will look like
Mm.
up against their house.
So she's a landscape designer. That's her role in the family biz.
Well, she does the designing, and then she does a lot of the planting. Yells at me when I dig holes too deep because then she's got to put more dirt back.
I get in trouble when I cut trees in our yard or if I cut them too aggressively, the rhododendrons.
Oh my
I get in a lot of
God!
trouble.
Yep, yep, yeah, yeah. Just for anyone listening that's not a landscaper, right? Like, there are things that not everything gets the hedge clippers. Just so we're just
Oh,
so we're
okay.
clear on that. if if you're taking your hedge clippers to your rose bush,
Oh yeah.
to
You're,
your knockout roses, you're doing it wrong. But
but you guys you create a vision for the customer based
yeah,
on
sure.
the skills that you guys have, and then is that what you come back to sell the job with, or is it what you build to? Like, what's the use of that?
Well, I think what happens is so what we do is in Jobber, right? And again, I won't spend too much time on Jobber, but in Jobber, I basically have everything attached to it, right? So we build out the quote,
Mm,
with by the line items, look at our profit, and then and then you can add things to the quote. So then, we'll add the PDF of the quote, to when we send it, right, to the email. So it'll have the quote itself. It'll have what deposits required. They have to sign and approve it, right?
mm,
And at the bottom of it, of basically everything that we send, is basically the contractual terms, right?
right.
And I do it a little bit different, right? So uh, this was a little bit, like a lot of people, hey, here's my contract, here's all 8 pages of it, right? Well, when you look at, got to thinking, like, how do these other companies do it? Well, but when something changes with PayPal
Mm,
or Apple, right? What do? You get an email with, I don't know, like 5 bullet points, right?
yeah.
And you're like,
Upgrading.
okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. Here's sort of what's changed, right? If you want to, by continuing to use this, you agree by these terms. And if
Mm.
you want to read the whole thing, here's the link.
So you do that. You have a short,
I
smart.
Yeah, so I have a hidden page on our website that has all our contractual terms, right? And so at the end of right before they sign, and I try and be funny with it. I'm like, hey, here's the stuff that the lawyers say is important.
Yeah.
You know, uh, by signing this, you are agreeing to the contractual terms and yada yada terms and conditions, blah blah blah. Like that are listed here. And then I think I even put in there. I was like, read this, like actually read this before you sign
Before
this.
you sign. How many of us download apps and we don't read them? And it says this app will
Uh,
track you everywhere at all
yeah,
times.
everyone.
Yeah, everyone. But it's
So
interesting that you thought about the customer and keeping it simple. And
yeah,
then
well,
it still has the terms and conditions, but they're somewhere else to keep it nice and clean and tight.
yeah, well, I mean, I think it just goes back to like, hey, I'm trying to make this as efficient as possible, as consumer friendly as possible,
Mm,
easy to digest for them, right? I'm not giving them like 8 pages of crap they don't need to read, right? Or don't want to read,
yeah,
you know?
I tend to agree. And one of the challenges is, lawyers write contracts and lawyers get paid by the word.
Right. Yes.
And so,
Yeah.
and of course, their job is to be risk averse. Their job is to worry about risk and to cover everything. But at a certain
Sure.
point, your contract can be too long. It can be too big.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that for me anyways, it's a fluid document, if you will. So, and what I mean by that is, we come across situations where like, oh man, we should probably add that right to our contract. Like this is weird. It's like those one-off weird things, but it's worth adding, and you just throw
Well,
it in there and then
price changes as an example, when we had all the supply chain issues, I'm sure they hit your industry as well. You needed to
oh
have
gosh,
some
we're
variance.
still getting,
Are you?
yeah. Oh gosh, we're still getting. I get an email like another email every 3 months about price increases for this, that.
Is
Just
that a
one
price?
or it's a price increase. Another one.
Yeah. Well, and you probably see it on the other side on machine parts, on maintaining the equipment, like just getting some of that equipment is tough. And so the costs are being passed along to us.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, I mean, it's just a snowball effect, right? Like, I mean, I don't think small businesses were out to price gouge customers but we can't just basically work at neutral.
You mean for free? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that wouldn't be good. What when
Yeah.
you look at, now we don't want to talk about any competitors specifically, but when you look at other people in business, what are you seeing that you're doing differently than them? What's working for you that you see other people banging their head against the wall for?
I think just being more efficient and really targeting the areas that we want to work in, you know. Um, we enjoy working in the higher end neighborhoods, right?
Right.
The ones that want to design, the people that care about their landscaping, they're willing to pay a little bit extra to have different things, to have larger plants installed from the
More
get-go,
intricate
right?
designs, integrated systems with watering, etc. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with drainage, right? People want, we have some areas around here with just kind of crummy soil and it's really wet. And you want that water away from your foundation, as far away from your foundation as you can get it.
Generally, yeah.
And you'd be surprised, when you look at like a 3,000 square foot home or something like that, and how much water, when you're talking like 30 to 60 gallons are coming off that roof, every minute during a good rain. It's a lot of water.
Yeah. And it's piling up against your foundation. And then there's the hydrostatic pressure and
and it just becomes a nightmare, So we've found a little niche in doing that kind of thing, doing the drainage stuff. And then again, it's just being a lifelong learner and go talk to the guys who know about pipe, right? Go talk to highway engineers, who do this stuff and you're like, oh, that's smart. I'm gonna do that.
We should do that. It's interesting though, that you talk about focusing on I wrote down my words for it, which is focus on the ideal customer. So many people in construction take the job that comes next instead of saying, I want to work in that neighborhood on that kind of job.
Yeah. So we're consistently booked 6 months out all the time. And we tell people that, and usually our ideal customer, right? We didn't start this way. Don't get me wrong. Right?
That's part of the, I mean,
I don't want to
started
sound
by jumping out of planes and putting mortars downfield. So we get that, but now you're here.
Yeah. I don't want to sound like some pompous jerk, that's just sitting here saying like, hey, we're just the bougiest landscapers ever. Right. Like, and we're not. Look, when we first started, we started out mowing. We didn't have clients, and in order to get those clients, what did we do? We mowed in the evenings when people were at home and could see us. We mowed on the weekends when people were at home and could see us. And we took table scraps, in the beginning until we got to build our own client list, and same thing with landscaping until we were able to build it the way and get the clients and get the reviews that we wanted. And then it's nice to be able to pick
and
what
choose.
you want. Yep.
So from my perspective, I'm a business coach. So I'm all about consistency and revenue and growth and building a solid business, profitability. The mowing business seems like a good business to me because we're going to charge, let's just pick a silly number, $25 a week to do that.
That's great.
I know that $25 is coming in and I can build a business model around that. And I just picked a number out of the blue.
Yeah.
Why did you move away from that kind of model where you had consistent, repeatable cash flow?
Christy hated string trimming.
Okay.
That's she really enjoyed. Listen, I talked her out of her fancy corporate job, right, to come like do this wild adventure with me,
Yeah.
and albeit, uh, yes, mowing is kind of like it like you said, right? It's repeatable. I mean, it's super simple. Like once you have them, as long as you don't screw it up, you'll have them, forever,
Yeah. I
essentially.
mean, it's maintenance contracts, right? So
Yep, yep. But then, it rains 3 days, and now you're backed up
oh, I
50
see.
lawns. Everybody thinks they're first. Your phone doesn't stop ringing. If you ask Christy, she'll tell you that Brian can't get out of bed early enough anymore. But
What, 4 a.m. is
uh,
not good enough for you anymore?
yeah, apparently not.
Yeah.
Um,
But it
and
didn't suit your lifestyle. It didn't suit what you wanted in a business.
yeah, it didn't. It really. Listen, there's times where I miss it, right? Because it really was, you know, easy.
You can
You know,
say what I say when I go mow the lawn. I just want to turn off my brain and mow the lawn.
yes, really. I mean, you could probably teach a monkey to do it, and I enjoyed that part of it, right? After spending so long as a leader and having in the army, that I was like, man, I just want to like sing on my mower and mow grass, stripe people's lawns, make it look cool,
Yeah.
and go about my day. However, uh, Christy really enjoyed the landscaping side of it, right? And then
Yeah.
she was really the one that started researching the plants more. And I was like, okay. And then we got a small tractor. And that's where we started. And we're like, okay, well, this is cool because
Look what
now
we
we
can
can
do.
move. Yeah, we can move mulch faster. We can move rock faster. We can pull plants out faster. And then we looked at it and we looked at the numbers, and then we were like, you know what? Had talked to a Caterpillar rep, our cat guy
Yeah.
here, and I was like, okay, so and nothing against employees, right? But I'm like hey man, well, I can either get an employee or
Mm.
two, or I can get this skid steer,
Or I can get a machine.
right? And guess what? It doesn't need time off. It doesn't talk to me.
Wow. I got you though. It doesn't want lunch. It doesn't take smoke breaks. It
I mean,
doesn't talk to me.
look, it takes some maintenance, right? But seriously, when you think about it, right? Like I can jump in that thing and it takes the place of a whole bunch of manual labor,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah. Yeah.
is sometimes not as reliable. And look, in our industry, right, in the green industry, and we're in Tennessee, I hear nightmare stories from everybody else who owns companies about employees, and it's like my
Oh
best
no,
employees.
it's the same everywhere. Yeah, managing people, leading people, but you've already spent your time leading people and you realized you wanted to build a business without it, which is why I wanted you as a guest. You're building this on your terms, in your way
Sure.
to build a family business you want. Everybody has a different measurement of success.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's okay.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it goes like, hey, you can't have a business, and what do they say? You got to be working on your business instead of working in your business. Well, I say you can do both. Why can't you do both? I love it. I love being in the machine. What kid, what
That's
guy
such
grew up in? Yeah, and you're like, oh my gosh, I get to be in Caterpillar equipment and dig and play in the dirt and
yeah, I think they one day there was one episode of The Simpsons where they showed Bart's ideal job in the future, and it was like the wrecking ball
yeah.
on a
I
big
mean,
yellow
this is
machine. That's just his dream. That's what he's made for.
Yeah, this is great. I was like, oh my gosh, look at how much work we can accomplish with these two machines, how fast we are, and it's fun and it's exciting and I love doing it. And 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 I just get to listen to everybody else's horror stories about employees all year long.
You don't have to deal with it yourself. But you know what? People often think, well, Dominic's a business coach and it's just all about making money, but it's what you do with the money. Like you just have to have what you need to live. And for a lot of people, the motivation is not the money. It's, I want to take care of my parents. I need to take care of my kid. We've got some serious bills coming up and I'm responsible for everything. So yeah, I need to make some money, but just to take care of these things. Not everybody wants to be the next multi-gajillionaire.
Yeah, well, listen, you'd be silly, the people who go, well, money can't buy you happiness. Yeah, right. It can actually buy you You're crazy if you think like that.
It does buy you choices. It buys you choices.
Absolutely. And I think for us, as I've gotten older, I will say this, the one thing that I am learning as I'm getting older is, and I have daughters in college and daughters going to med school and,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. So the idea is that, and this, to me, this is any leadership position, right? Like the idea in the Army, like when you're a leader is you want your subordinates, you want to train them to be where you are, to take your place, right? There's no like competition in that aspect. It's like you want them to be there, right? And be better than you. I want my children, I want my daughters to be better than me. I want them to.
I hope mine are better than me.
Yeah, really. I don't know how.
Barely functioning.
I live.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I survived. Just being alive is by sheer luck. And sometimes I think, nowadays. But as I've gotten older, I think we've looked at. We enjoy less, if that makes sense. We've had a 4,400 square foot home and now we have more land and a smaller 2,400 square foot home, and it's almost too much for us now because Maddie, our
the girls are off to school.
Yeah,
and
so I guess looking, if I had to do it all over again, I think you got to keep that in mind. It's odd where you go, I don't want this. Like, why do we have all this stuff?
Yeah, you need just enough. My problem is now I don't have ATVs, and I don't want more space. I want to get rid of stuff to make room for the ATVs.
Yeah. Well, see, so we got this Caterpillar UTV.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, let's get like a like a Ranger or something like that. And she's like, no, that's so basic. We'll get the Caterpillar one. And I'm like, okay.
Your wife said that?
Yeah.
She's awesome. That's fantastic. Yes, honey, you're right. That's what we should get.
Yeah. So, and then we got the turn light kit, and the mirror and stuff, so we could get a license plate and we could drive it on the road.
You see, she was right all along. Again.
Yes.
Right all along.
This is true. But to your point about the mowing side, yeah, okay. So yeah, sure, that repetitive business. But then you venture into landscaping and you go, all right, so this $52,000 job is going to take us, the two of us, 2 weeks to complete.
I see what you mean. And so your use of time is.
Yeah. So when you look at that and you go, now, mind you, that's not all profit, right? I mean, obviously, I'm just saying.
No.
Once you subtract everything we already know, yes. But it's still like a really good chunk of change, So we try and stay somewhere around like a 2 to a 2.5 multiplier, if you will.
Good. Excellent. So
if I'm just being honest.
Oh no, with me, you're supposed to be. That's okay. That's what we're supposed to be. And I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people out there are not charging enough to cover their margins and make sure they're making enough money. And
so I have a temperature check for that I use. Honestly. So if I'm getting, if we're getting somewhere in the neighborhood of 50%,
Mm.
of the stuff that we bid,
Mm-hmm.
then we're right where we need to be.
If you're winning 50% of the jobs you bid,
Yep.
Well, how would you
Yep.
feel if I said that was still high?
Uh, it wouldn't hurt my feelings, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, because I think that, yeah, I absolutely think that, it could be lower. But there was at one point where, when you first start and you don't know what you don't know, and you're like,
Oh,
wow,
yeah. We're
everybody's
winning
saying
everything.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Until you talk to the next guy and you're like, wait a second,
You turned
you're
down the
charging
job. Yeah.
you're charging $60 a cut?
Yeah.
I'm only charging 30. Wow, I just screwed myself.
Yeah. And the homeowner doesn't tell you that. They're like, yeah. How
Yeah, of
come,
course not.
how
They
come you're
love
not
it.
weeding at the same time? You're like, oh, am I supposed to weed too? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just don't know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but you're
Yeah.
right. I mean, even less, you know, um,
Well, and listen,
I could see
I'm
it.
just putting that
No,
number
I
out
could
there.
see it. No,
You've
I could
got
see
your
it.
number. That's good. But and by the way, counting that 50% of jobs we bid, there's a couple different places to count that. Like when you're actually at the final push comes to shove, are we going to do it or not? That might be a little bit
Yeah.
different than a little higher up in the sales process. But I usually look for like a 30 to 40% conversion rate, because if a company's got a really high conversion rate, that usually means
Yeah.
something else is going on. You're too cheap, you're leaving something on the table, there's a couple of questions that need to be asked still.
Yeah. Yeah. So in our, for example, when somebody contacts us, right?
Mm.
Like if you call, you want me to tell you how I found efficiency in real quick from start to finish?
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Okay.
everybody else listening wants to hear it too.
Okay. Well, so because it's just Christy and I, right? And we believe that when we're at the client's house,
Mm.
that client deserves all of our attention, right? Not stopping to text, not stopping to answer phone calls, not stopping. So we have, I think, line two, right? So it's like a VoIP app thing, for a phone. Instead of trying to carry around, two phones and we don't have any backroom office personnel. However, if you call our business line, if you call it right now, right,
Mm-hmm.
it will immediately go to voicemail and tell you that, hey, you can leave a message, but if you want us to respond faster, I think it says something funny like, hey, we're probably out on a job site, in a machine, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
But if you want us to respond faster, text us. And I don't know, 95% of the time, people text us.
Perfect.
Commercial locations don't generally, because they're calling from an office and they got an office phone, and they'll generally just go to our website. But 95% of the time, people text us. And then what do we do from there is they go, hey, I'm looking for this. Okay, great. Well, we don't do that. But here's a great company that we trust that does.
So you
Okay,
refer out.
so yeah, absolutely. I think if you're not playing nice with the rest of the kids in the pool, like you're a fool. I just honestly believe that, especially because um, I think it serves your company and it helps other people as well, right? Because
Mm.
I'm just going to throw this out there, right? So I don't want anyone to take offense to this one, right? But if I want to work in area A,
Yeah.
and I want to keep everybody else out of area A, I'm going to refer these people to area B and give them all the stuff in area B that I don't want to do.
I see. That's smart.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Keep them busy away from the.
where I want to work, where my clients are, right? And so that everybody gets used to seeing just us, right? In this specific area. So, if everyone serves a purpose, if you will. Um, and I'm not saying that in a mean way. I'm saying like, hey, they get work out of it. The other companies get work out of it,
Yeah.
right? And we get to
Stay focused in your area.
and maybe not have so much competition all the time. And we're playing nice with everybody, right? And so that and it does work vice versa. Like if they have
I'll bet you
something
they
where
think your area A is not good for them, and so they'll send you work every once in a while.
yep, absolutely. Um, so anyway, so on that bit, but so then so people text us, right? And then so we'll refer them out, right? Now, and here's the efficiency part of it, right? I haven't wasted 30 minutes on a phone call, right? I've moved my thumbs, all of 10
Yeah.
seconds. Um, and even if they do want something, we go, hey, here, go to our website. Here it is. Here's the link, right? Click the request a quote button
Mm-hmm.
and fill it out. Okay, so that does two things, right? So one, I get website traffic out of it, right? I mean, look, SEOs. I mean, I'm no SEO expert, but right, the more people that go to your website,
That's right.
the better off that you're in. So then we send them to our website. They click the button. It takes them directly to. I made a custom button on the website, and it takes them directly to our quote form, our Jobber quote form. They fill it
Oh, so
out.
they're automatically inputted into Jobber, and you don't have to do any of the keystrokes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I see.
I don't have to do anything. And so then, and you have custom fields, you have, yes or no questions, whatever, right?
Yeah.
I try and keep it easy because nobody wants to fill out, pages and pages of stuff. But one of the questions that I did struggle with, and I have changed probably 6 times, was the budget question.
Mm.
Look, at the end of the day, right? Everybody's got a budget. Whether or not they want to tell you they have what their budget is a different story.
They may not even know it. I have no idea what it would be to drain the water away from my foundations.
Yes, sometimes, but they do have a general idea of what they can spend.
Right.
And that's how I phrase it.
Mm.
What do you want to spend on this project? And then I put in the parentheses, I'm like, I don't want the low number. I don't want the high number. I want what you feel comfortable spending, right? Like going into this.
Huh.
9 times out of 10, people will throw a number in there or a ballpark number in there. Because look, I don't want to go and build out an entire quote because you want your entire front landscaping ripped out and redone, but your budget's $500. It's waste.
I'm sure you've seen that. Sorry, I wouldn't even imagine putting that in there, but
we get it all the time. And then we're just direct with them.
Oh, do you call them back or text them back and go, we can't do this. We can't even attempt
anything. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, look, and we're real nice about it, but it's like, hey, look, just the rock that you want in there alone is going to cost more than that. Let alone, ripping it all off, disposal fees and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, no, it's a ridiculous number is the point.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't want to waste my time writing a quote where they're already really low. Yeah. Right. Now, what I will do before I come out there and speak to you in person is I'll give you a ballpark number, right? A lot of times I'll even text it and say, hey, it'll probably be around this to this. In the quote, right? In when they request the quote, at the bottom there's a question and it says, hey, can you text us pictures?
Okay, great. So you're seeing the actual site.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Not and not using Zillow, right? Because whatever's on Zillow is generally it's like it looks manicured and from when someone sold the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll text us actual pictures, and then we can go, okay, cool. It'll be about this ballpark, right? It'll be like 5 to 10,000.
And do you get people texting you back going, oh, that's a little more than we thought, or are you sure, or whatever they say? And then not to go on that call, right?
Yep, absolutely. Because again, right, if I get in my truck and I drive to let's say Dom says, hey, I want you to come out and look at my look at my landscaping. Okay, cool. Well, I'm not going to do that, right? Because
No,
because look,
I agree. I just like the way you said it. I totally agree. Yeah, I
you're
have to know some things before I'm going to lead my
yeah,
family.
yeah. Well, because if you ask me to come out there, there's plenty of people, and they advertise this like we give free estimates, right? Like I'll give you a free ballpark, like text you or email you a free ballpark, right? But if if you want me to come out to your home and stand out there, drive my vehicle, spend my fuel, maintenance
Mm.
costs, yada yada, my time, and stand in your yard and talk to you, um, well, and and you want me to do it for that means you're already valuing my time at $0.
Mm.
That is a
100%.
bad way to start a relationship with a client. And I tell people flat out, I said, hey, look, just I'm standing here, and just as you're interviewing me, I'm interviewing you. Do I
Mm.
want to work for you? And
How do they take that, by the way?
most people laugh. I try. I don't try and sound so ominous when I
No, no,
say it.
no. But
You
it's
know,
it's an open statement because you can walk away from a job. There's been jobs I took I should have walked away from the minute I heard about them.
yeah. Oh, I think everybody has a story like
Yeah.
that, right? I think we probably all have multiple stories like that.
Yeah, maybe more than we
Um,
needed. We should have learned the first
and
time.
yeah, but we don't. We just keep running into the
No.
wall, right?
Well,
Um,
try to get better.
yeah. Yes. Yes. Um, so I think they take it. Most people appreciate the open honesty, right? And they would rather hear like, "Hey, we're booked 6 months out," or "Hey, that's it. We just can't do it for that because ABC."
Because you can't. Yeah, the pipe's going to cost that. The
Right,
permits.
right, and there's certain materials that I won't use. Sure, they're less expensive. Other people will use them, right? But I don't want to get a call back because your pipe is crushed because somebody used subpar
Mm,
material,
right.
um, or something to that nature, if you will, right? Uh, but so if they agree to the ballpark, if they agree to the ballpark figure, then we generally will set up a time to go out there and actually talk to them.
Yeah. So, in my technical terms, we're qualifying the prospect. We're
Yep,
making sure that
absolutely.
they're the right person with the right need lined up with what we do make, sell,
Yeah,
install, repair, build, etc., maintain.
yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
if they're not, then we don't go.
Right, absolutely. So, but a lot of people don't do that, Dom. That's what I'm
Mm,
saying. Is I don't I see a lot. Oh well, we give free estimates. Well, so you're driving to all these people's homes? Yes.
yeah.
What? That
Well,
doesn't.
and the problem is people haven't heard a system like yours, or they haven't listened to the show here to hear about how to do it. And what happens is not only are they driving to those free estimates, but they're leaving their daughter's baseball game, their son's soccer practice. Their wife needed to go to
Right.
choir, but now she can't because you got to stay home to watch it because she has to watch the kids while you go out on a Saturday. And it's not the way to run the business for the
Well,
future.
and if you're a Lean Six Sigma guy, that's waste. So if you're anybody, that's just waste, right? And I think that if the more that you start to look at that stuff, right, especially if you're just a small business, if you're a little guy like us, right, like
Mm,
without employees, you really have to find innovative ways in order to streamline and be more efficient with all that back end stuff, right? With the website and social media and your Google My Business page and SEO and
yeah.
yada, 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 right? Um, People always ask me about like, hey, what, about Google and things like that. And I'm like, look, whatever, this is pretty easy. Do the things that Google cares about.
So
You want to be found,
the Google sees you. Yeah. Yeah.
right? You want to be found on Google. You want Google to rank you higher, and you want to do it organically and not have to pay for the sponsored ads that everybody scrolls by anyway because they're all always at the top of the
They're
Google
at the top,
page.
but everybody goes to the map listings, the three
Yep.
listings against a map against your neighborhood.
Yep. Absolutely. Right. So if you're in our city and you Google landscaping, I can tell you where we'll fall in those three.
In those three.
Usually in the first two.
Yeah.
Um, because just do the things that Google cares about. And it
Such
tells Google.
you make it sound so easy, but obviously this has come over a lot of time and a lot of self-reflection and study. I mean, you've reinvented yourself a couple times here throughout the military in your career. You left as a warrant officer, but you came in as a private.
Yeah, I came in as a private, brand new. I went to basic training in between my junior and senior year of high school.
Oh, no way.
And
You weren't even done high
yeah,
school.
yeah, I joined the reserves. They had the split op program back in the day in the mid 90s, and that's what I did. And but then after high school, I went on active duty, and eventually, I made it to I was a platoon sergeant, E7, and then I was there, gosh, for a few years, and then met a targeting technician warrant officer, and he was like, "Hey, you should think about putting your packet in." And
Ah,
so I did, and I got accepted, and yeah, I mean, rest is history.
was
I mean, there's a
Christy
lot of
in the
history.
was Christy in the Army too?
Yeah, she was actually, believe it or not, Christy, and so her older sister, and my sister were friends.
Mm.
So Christy sort of always tagged along. I'm older than Christy. Yeah, I know where everyone's thinking on that one. No,
Just a high five.
I'm
I'm not
not.
thinking anything.
So, but we all grew up together, right?
Right.
And eventually, I came back as a recruiter. I got detailed as a recruiter for a few years, and I actually put both Christy and her sister in the Army as a recruiter.
Oh, as recruiters. Oh, neat. Okay.
Yeah, I was their recruiter. So I was their recruiter
Oh, as their
for the
recruiter.
Army.
Right.
Yeah. And they so both of them joined at the same time. And uh Christy was at Fort Story on Virginia Beach, and she spent, I don't know, just 2-3 years in. I want to say 3 years.
Yeah.
I think when I put her in, she was like, "What's the shortest I can join for?" And then and she got a Haglin crane operator license. So the big crane that lifts the big Connex boxes,
Oh, yeah.
off
Right.
the ships.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what she did.
It's amazing. There's so many jobs in the military. And, I'm glad you came here to talk to us today because so many people have military backgrounds. And again, thanks to all of you who've done that. Because that's why we now get to run our businesses. We get to ask anybody we want to do business with us. Nobody can tell you no. The only person that tells us no is us.
Yeah, absolutely. I listen, for any of the veterans that are out there listening, or that do listen to this, um, there are so many things that you can take from the military that do apply, that actually do apply to running your own business and having your own business. And you don't have to start off with a lot,
Mm.
and you can make money. That's where we started out mowing.
Well,
You
like you
don't have
said,
to have a
mowing,
lot.
it's you don't have to have a lot. You have a lawnmower and off you go. And you've got recurring revenues and you've got a good business to build on. And
Yeah, and you don't have to spend a bunch of money. Like if you have a vehicle, and let's say you have a truck and a trailer, and you can buy a lawnmower, a weed eater, a backpack. Well, let's say you mow 50 or 10 yards a day, right? At $50 a pop. I mean, do the math.
yeah, it's good. And then it
It's
grows from
not
there.
bad. Yeah. So
And you get to listen to radio or podcasts all day with your
yes, absolutely.
headphones in until your wife comes
Yes.
along and says, we should do landscape design.
Yeah, when she says that, I'm sick of string trimming, but everybody, but she thinks mowing is boring, right? But everyone looked at me like I was the bad husband. You make your wife walk around and string trim? I'm like, she wants to. I don't.
I'm not judging. I like doing it. I like mowing my lawn. I enjoy it. I even enjoy the string trimming. Although now my shoulders, as I'm older, my shoulders can't take it as much, but
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
that takes a
being
lot.
being in the machine is nice. Like I just
Yeah.
flicking joysticks around.
Hey, if somebody wants to find you in this big wide world, how do we find Brian Boase?
Well, to be honest, you can just go to our Instagram page, It's like at Milspec Landscaping is our Instagram
Mill
handle.
dash spec landscaping. Yeah.
I think it's just MILSPEC
Oh,
Landscaping.
okay. Isn't that the website
Because
though? Mill spec.
yeah, yep. It's Mill dash, yeah, spec. But because Instagram, doesn't allow you to
Oh,
have like
right,
little
right.
dashes
Yeah.
in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, or what is it? Millspeclawn.com is our website. So you can find us there. But yeah, I don't really, I don't
Yeah.
really,
Doing your thing in
and
Tennessee.
listen to Dom. I'm a prophet.
I won't do that twice in one show. They're already listening.
It was good though. It was good. It was perfect timing when you plugged it in there though. I liked it.
People expect bad jokes out of me. They expect bad, poorly timed, poorly delivered jokes, and I try to over deliver on those all the time.
I don't think it's as bad as your cartel hitman background that you have though, and going on there.
That's a fake background because I'm working from the home office today.
Yeah, it's like it looks like a video. It looks like one of those like Rainbow Six or like Call of Duty video games where like somebody's just gonna come in there and raid the place at some point.
It's a construction office background.
I'm just kidding.
With the cubicles, it's one of those mechanical room with exposed HVAC above. And yeah, for those of you who can't see this, who can't see what we're talking about, watch it as a YouTube video and you'll see Brian taking shots at my construction background. It's a project management office.
It's a podcast. I'm over here talking about like what it looks like in the background.
Well, there's video too. It'll be on YouTube. So you can see yourself.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Fair enough.
All right, Brian, I appreciate you being with me, man. I really appreciate the message. And I'm glad you might be the first, maybe we've had another military vet on, but it's good to give that message out there so that people understand that, you can reuse those skills. You can go in different directions and everybody can have a business that looks the way they want it to.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you know who else everyone should check out? My man, the Best Handyman Inc. Or Best Handyman Boston. Now,
are you talking about Ryan Tuttle?
Inc. Yes, I love Ryan. He's great. What a good guy. I know we talked about him just a little bit, but I didn't even know that you knew him. So
yeah, I know him real well. Yeah. He's done great things with his business. That guy is on fire and focused.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got so much energy.
Yeah.
Great dude though. Anyways, there's my plug. Look,
there's a plug for Ryan
myself. Yeah, I love Ryan.
Perfect. Here, do this with me. So you can see I'm holding up two fingers. Can you hold up two fingers for me? Okay, that's the 2-finger MBA. Ryan and I talked about that in some of our work together.
All right.
If you don't have your MBA, now you have it. That's your 2-finger MBA. Do you know what that stands for?
No, come on, tell me.
You keep your expenses low and your sales high. There you go. That's your MBA.
Yeah, look at that.
Everybody tries to overcomplicate. I don't have my MBA, so I can't build a business. You don't need an MBA. That's what Ryan and I talked about a lot. Look, you keep your expenses low and your sales high. There's your MBA.
Yeah, you don't even need a degree.
No.
I mean, look.
No. It ain't what you got. It's what you do with what you got. And I'll bet you dollars to donuts. You learned that in the Army too. It's not what you've got. Yeah. It's what you do with what you've got.
Yep. If you are willing to grind, right? If you're willing to grind and put the sweat equity into it, right? I'm telling you, there's nothing beats that. Listen, you could have a doctorate, right? But if you don't have any intestinal fortitude and you don't have any resiliency and you don't have drive or self-motivation, you're done. You're like a dead fish floating around in the water, like useless.
Yeah. Yeah. People always think that money's going to solve their problems, and money's not. Creativity. Creativity will solve your problems. Now, I mean, obviously there's things you got to pay for. I mean, if you run into some troubles, you got to pay for things, but you will solve more by creativity than by throwing money at a problem. And I love the fact that you have a Lean Six Sigma black green belt background. That's crazy. But that's where we learn about those things. Creativity solves the problem, not money.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why, look, if you're going to get into business, right? Here's, I guess, my piece of advice that if I could give one to anyone, right? You have to love challenges, right? If you like complacency, do not get into owning your own business. Like, You have to love challenge and the creative, like you were saying, right? You got to be creative, right? Like that's what solves problems, right?
Yeah.
The challenges, because every day is a challenge and it's new. We love that. Christy and I love that. Like we're driven by challenges, right? And interesting things and hard things, right? The jobs that everybody goes, I don't want to do
want
that.
to take that one. Yeah.
Yeah. We go, well, this was interesting.
You're built on solid bedrock?
Yeah, like how do we do this? You know what? I don't care. I'll figure it out.
We're gonna blast. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, anyway.
Well, listen, thank you. We've done a horrible job of winding down a show, but a great job of adding extra value at the end.
Yeah, we really did.
That's okay. I love it. That's what it's about. All right, Brian, thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Have a great day.
All right, you too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well. Thank you, Mr. Brian Boase. Always appreciate having you here. If you guys want to check him out, his website is millspeclawn.com. And like I said, he's in Clarksville, Tennessee. And like I also said, he's a jobber expert and he's a green belt in Lean Six Sigma and he's a retired Army vet. And, you know, as he said in here, he started out like a lot of us start, doing something a little bit different. He wanted to just give his brain a rest and listen to music while he was mowing lawns. And now, of course, he's got a landscaping company. Always marching forward. I like one of the things he said, I've got it in my notes here. Don't step over $100 to pick up $1. And I wrote it down because he reminded me at that moment in time about something I'm doing wrong in my business right now, stepping over $100 to pick up $1. Or as some of you that do private coaching with me might have heard, are we chasing a problem worth solving? Ask yourself that. Are you currently chasing a problem that's even worth solving? If it's not worth it, if the end result isn't going to make a big difference in your company, find a bigger problem. Go add zeros to your problems. Find the biggest, hairiest, ugliest problems, the real problems in your business, and face them head on. Those are the big ones. You guys hear me talk about it here all the time. It's around the strategy. It's around where are you going to take this business in the future? And, you know, Brian has a very casual attitude towards, you know, he's very confident because the guy's been trained in the military. And those of you in the military know what that means. Very high level of training. Probably takes a lot to fluster him. And so he sounds very casual, but he's very driven. I can tell by talking to him. And he's going places. And he's going to keep going places. So let's keep watching him. Like I said, he's a jobber expert. He's a landscaping guy. He came on here to talk about running a family business. And I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got a lot from it. Thanks, Brian.